Hey everyone, my name is Ralph. I'm a virtual reality game developer, and on this channel, I want to show you how I create games, how all the stuff that's involved in games is done, my personal ideas, my personal experiences. I have developed games in the past, mobile games to be more exact, and I just want to show you how it's done, the programming, the 3D computer graphics, the sound design, the music, basically the whole process. And I hope you enjoy these videos. If you do, please say something if you want or not. And yeah, let's see how this whole experiment with blogging and yeah, all the fun stuff, how this turns out. It's gonna be an interesting journey, I'm quite sure. Okay, I want to show you what I'm currently working on, which is like a prototype. I'm still not entirely sure which game will be the first one I'm going to do. My plan is to release it this year. I'm still in the phase of prototyping ideas, and yeah, I'm going to now show you my current idea. Let's have a look.
Okay, now we are in Unity 3D, which is like the program I'm using to do game development. And you probably can hear me much better right now because I'm using a better microphone. And I'm going to now show you what it is that I have been doing the last couple of days, more or less. And it's kind of a first sketch, if you will. It's only a yeah, you have to start somewhere. In that sense, it's probably almost too much because yeah, I concentrated a lot on the visual quality or on the, let's say, the mood of the light and the experience basically. So if you develop games, there's like two ways you can approach it. Either you focus on a kind of mechanic that you start off and you try to improve the mechanic of the game, basically the actions the user is doing and how he interacts with the world, and you ignore like all the stuff around it, like the graphics or the mood. But as you can see, it's like a 80s kind of flair to it, and I wanted to try this out actually from the other way around. I just wanted to start with a feeling, with an emotion of, driving in this like futuristic 80s city, like how people like imagined it in the 80s. And, obviously right now there's like a huge trend in this kind of retro style. I'm actually not too much a fan of that, to be honest, but I do seriously like the emotion of this kind of thing. And, it's like just a starting point for me right now. I don't know whether this will eventually turn into a real game or not. So let's look at some of the scene or some of the stuff I've done. So this is like the scene. You can see like there's this weird thing in the middle. It's basically a car, but the outside is missing, because if I do a prototype, I try to do less and do barely enough, so it doesn't really matter what it's outside. So because the player is inside of the car and he will not see much at the beginning anyways. Yeah, so what I did is I used 3ds Max. You can see here I used like real basic principles. I made a box, and out of the box I made a car, and I really focused on like the essentials to test out this idea. And you can also see the road, and in the background there's the skyscrapers. So you might ask, so what is the point of this game? Well, the point of this game is not entirely decided yet. Right now you can see how the game would look. Like I can start it actually if you want, and then we can see like the players inside of the car, and because it's a virtual reality game and I do have an Oculus Rift, I can kind of take it and you can look around. Okay, it's not working properly right now because I'm not having the headset on me. I'm just using it in my hands. But yeah, that's kind of what you can do right now. You're driving along this kind of road and yeah, nothing much happens right now. So what I'm going to do with it, I mean, there's two approaches. I could do like a arcade style game where you can imagine a bunch of cars coming towards you, or you kind of are speeding along this highway and you have to dodge the cars. You have to change lanes. Basically, there's 3 lanes and it's kind of a timing thing. You could imagine you're even driving towards the city and then there's other stuff coming. But essentially, it's like an arcade game. I'm not sure whether I want to do an arcade game. I mean, it's kind of easy from a limited budget and time constrained perspective. But I mean, I've been doing mobile games before and I know kind of that doing mobile games is like a lot of times these kind of simple concepts. I do kind of like the idea, of driving along this road towards a city, a futuristic city with kind of a cool soundtrack and retro feel, like sitting in a car and blasting like 80s music. And, I could do some music also for it because I'm not just game developing. I'm also like, I do really enjoy making music, and I really like the idea of doing like this 80s soundtrack to it. And yeah, but I mean, another idea I have about it is like, usually, if you have a game like this, you focus on the outside of the car. But what about the inside of the car? You could imagine there's like lots of futuristic stuff in the car, and maybe that could be the center of the game. Like, for example, the car, it's like the future, or the future how people in the 80s kind of thought the future would be. And, there's like these self-driving cars, and that's basically, you don't have to drive the car even, and the outside is just like the background in a way, and the center of the game is kind of the inside. And, you could imagine there's this like rogue car. It's kind of an automated car that drives by itself, and it has decided it wants to kill the owner, and it's on this kind of suicide mission. I mean, you can imagine something like that. It's probably an interesting idea. I don't know whether we'll follow up on it. Let's see what happens. I think the first thing, or the next thing I'm going to do with this, is adding other cars you have to dodge. So it's the arcadey thing. It won't take too long to do. So yeah, it will probably be really fast, and I will try it out and see how it feels, and whether I will follow this path. And maybe, the interesting stuff about doing this kind of stuff is like, while you're doing it, you suddenly realize, there's like these happy accidents that are happening. And I'm hoping actually for some of these happy accidents happening and kind of discovering while I'm prototyping some kind of interesting mechanic or a way of approaching this game. Because honestly, I don't want to do like this arcadey, dodging other cars game. I want to kind of try to find a unique perspective here, and so we'll see what happens with that. Another kind of technical interesting thing about it is right now, actually, we're not really driving, and it's like, if you look at it from here, you can kind of see it much better. It's like basically the street is like moving back, it's snapping back at the right amount of time. This is like a trick I learned from making mobile games, and it does work. It gives you like the illusion that you're driving endlessly, but you actually never will arrive at the city. So I think I will change this. I will basically make it, I will make it like you have to drive to the city because it's interesting, like discovering the city, and it's much more interesting to do it that way. So I will probably change this and let the car drive for real, basically. So that's with that. I can also show you like the other stuff I did. I use Photoshop for like the textures. So in 3ds Max, I made like the models, like the tiles. It's like a tiling system. So it repeats and repeats. So I only made this small part here. And after that, I use Photoshop and I did the textures there. Like, for example, this here is like the skyscraper texture. It's like really simple. Obviously, this will be much more sophisticated if it's like becoming a real game. But right now for prototyping, it's like totally alright. Or these are like the streets. It's really simple, like, like a simple pattern. But actually, I quite like it's really cool. It looks like a computer circuit or something like down here. Yeah, and these other things like the lights, they are basically materials inside of Unity. And that's it, basically. The sky box, I also made it in Photoshop, like the sky itself. It's kind of like a real simple one. You can do that in Photoshop too and import it into Unity. It's also real simple. It's like this huge kind of equi-rectangular texture. It's what it's called. It wraps around like a sphere. And you can do that in Unity. Like, let's see, you can go here to textures and where is it? Skyboxes here, and you do like texture type is default and use texture shape is cube, and the mapping is latitude, longitude, cylindrical. And then you have here, you can see it like this cylindrical mapping thing. All right, and what else do we have here? The skyscrapers, the road, like real simple stuff. Okay, so I think that's it for today. It will be interesting what will happen with this, how far I'm gonna follow, if I'm going to abandon this idea or not. I will definitely try out other ideas in the next couple of weeks, so there will be a lot of other stuff coming. And because I do have a lot of other ideas I want to try out, and let's just see what happens, actually. Obviously, eventually I will have to make a decision on what kind of game I'm going to do. My plan is to start small, like 3 to 6 months of development time, which is not a lot actually, but I want to start small and have something released, and get people's feedback, and you can always improve afterwards, after people kind of give their ideas, because let's be honest, I don't have a huge testing group. I don't have much people who can test the game, because I don't know a lot of people or any people who have virtual reality headset. You have to throw it out into the world. My goal is to release it on Steam and on Oculus Store, and that's kind of the plan. And obviously I will see which idea will win. Okay, so that's it for right now. This blog is already long enough. I hope you found it kind of interesting. If you do, please leave a comment. and we will see each other next time. Bye bye.